Radio Bypass, bringing you rock and roll music that deserves to be heard. Discover new bands. Here's some old favorites on Radio Bypass.
Hey, rockers. Our guest today, he's been with us before. He's been sharing his gift of music with us since the 80s and in the 2000s, these last couple decades, going stronger than ever, I think. Please welcome musician, media mogul, my friend, the metal cowboy, Mr. Ron Keel. How you doing, Ron?
Hello, Ralph. I'm doing great. Hope you are as well. And hello to all of your viewers and listeners. Thanks for the opportunity to talk the rock and rock the talk. I mentioned before we started recording that it's been I've just got out of rehearsal. And when for me, if you're having a bad day, sing. If you're having a good day, sing. So I sing a lot and sing often. That's how I keep my pipes in shape. So I'm going to go ahead and lock in the voice cloning app so that the AI can do the interview for me, and I'll just sit here and nod my head.
Perfect. They'll just pick right up. That's awesome.
No, man.
You and I are both so technically proficient with AI.
Exactly. Yeah. I don't have AI. I barely have intelligence. So, and I'm very proud to say that no AI was used in the recording of Keelworld, the new album. This is very raw and very natural, very organic. Not a lot of bells and whistles, no auto-tune. I don't have the patience for that either. So what you hear is what you get.
Well, my God, Ron, that album, I mean, it just knocked my socks off. The recording quality is so good too. You know, I find the production on a lot of newer stuff isn't really what I'd like it to sound like, but this does. Everything's mixed. You know, things are where they should be. You hear everything. It's a beautiful sounding record, but also the songs are just amazing. And I think it's pretty cool that you've kind of gone through your career. And I've been trying to explain this to folks, and you can do it much better than I. But essentially, this Keelworld is your whole world. It's really kind of covering pretty much anything you've been involved with throughout your career, right?
This is an exploration of all the musical territory that I've enjoyed exploring for the past 50 years. And for me, at this stage of the game, it wasn't enough just to make a new album. I had to give myself and the listeners in the audience something special, something that really puts an exclamation point on those last 5 decades and cover all of that ground that I've enjoyed the last 50 years, from the metal of Steeler and Keel to hard rock, southern rock, country. There are brand new songs. I want to emphasize that
Yes.
These are all new songs. This is not a collection of unreleased tracks from the vault. These are all new songs, all new recordings from Keel, Steeler, Iron Horse. Ron Keel Band did a lot of the heavy lifting on this, and some solo material, as well as the Emerald Sabbath cover of Children of the Grave.
Right, which I definitely want to talk about that.
Sure.
But I also have to comment that Ronnie Lee guy, he's pretty good too on this record.
Man, I'm very proud of the country music on this record, and the Faster Horses is the most country song, and I'm getting so much feedback from metal media, people like yourself and DJs and other people in the media, that I don't like country, but I like that. It's just a really good song, and that's where it starts with a project like this. It's got to be built upon a foundation of great songs, and
Right.
It's not just you don't have a token country track and a token Keel track or a token Steeler track. These songs really embody the character and the identity of the acts that are on the track list.
Nice. Well, and I share that sentiment because I'm not a big country guy. I listen to it a little bit. My wife likes it. So, you know, I'm exposed to it. And sometimes I say, oh, that Keith Urban, that wasn't a bad tune or this or that. But I definitely would not consider myself a country guy at all. And when I got to the country tracks on here, on Keelworld, I was like, darn you, Ron Keel, now you might make me like country too.
Well, they're good songs, man. You know, and style is one thing. People want to pigeonhole something into a genre, or it sounds like this, or this is metal. I don't even know what metal is anymore, man. When I was growing up and cutting my teeth, Judas Priest, Saxon, Iron Maiden, Def Leppard, Motorhead, AC/DC, and Van Halen to us were metal.
Sure.
And even though bands like AC/DC and Van Halen never embraced the metal identity, I did with my band Steeler. That's why the Steeler track had to be what I consider, it's to me, it's metal. And it is the ultimate Steeler anthem. After 40 years coming back with those guys, with this song, a very special track called Give Me Guitars or Give Me Death. And we've got a big time music video releasing soon to support that track. Brand new Steeler video, the first Steeler video ever, and the first new Steeler song in 40 years. The new Keel track, Moving Target, is quite a statement. Keel is obviously the rock and roll animal that brought me here and gave me my success in the 80s. And I would put Moving Target up there with the best of anything we've ever done.
Can't disagree. Yeah, I agree 100%. Well, since you mentioned the Steeler track, and since that came even before Keel, I got to say that song blew me away when I heard it, and it was really exciting and great that you got Mark Edwards involved and Rick Fox, and it's fantastic. So that video, I know the last I knew that was scheduled to release next month in November. Is that still the situation?
It's done. It's ready. I'm just holding on to it because the anticipation for me is half the fun of it. Knowing that it's done and it's killer, I love it, and it's coming, and how to release that properly and from a business standpoint. As the RFK Media, my company, our company that released the album, our label, how do we market that and promote it properly and make sure that we maximize our potential, get the most eyeballs on that video and get the most clicks for people to listen to it, watch it, and enjoy it.
Sure. Yeah, well, I'm definitely anxious to see it. Even though I've listened to the song a bunch of times, I'm anxious to see the video too.
Well, I could send you a private link.
I'd appreciate it. I won't share it with anybody. I promise. I'll keep it to myself.
I'm dying for everybody to see it, man. It was directed and produced by David Pear, who does all the Dead Daisies content. If you've seen any of their music videos or any of their web content, it's absolutely the best in the business. And David was kind enough to come on board and take Steeler under his wing and create. And it's not we have two versions, but the version that we're releasing, the version that I'm most excited about, is just performance. There's no bells and whistles. There's no fancy concept or anything. It's just four guys kicking metal ass. And that to me was the best statement that we could make. Now we do have another version of the video with a lot of CGI and computer graphics and animations and stuff that's really cool. We're going to include that as a bonus feature on the new Steeler documentary film, which is coming out in 2025. David not only produced and directed the new video, he said, let's make a movie. Let's tell the whole story. And so he has done that in an amazing way to take you back to the Sunset Strip in the early 80s and tell the entire story of Steeler, the legacy, if you will. And in my opinion, the goal was, and in my opinion, we achieved that, was even if you don't know who Ron Keel is or you never heard of Steeler, this story itself is entertaining in its own right. It stands on its own 2 feet and takes you back to the 80s on that Sunset Strip and those magical times that we all know and love. And some of our fans, a lot of our fans are too young to remember it. They weren't there, but they can go back in time with us with this new Steeler documentary. Absolutely. And there's not a lot of video. There's not a lot of video from back then. So it's all done with animations. It's like almost a cartoon with, us reenacting that story through interviews. We've got a lot of rock stars, music execs, the guys in the band, and all of us kind of telling our version of the story. And he put it all together into a documentary film, which is coming out in 2025.
Oh man, I look forward to that too. Mike Varney involved in that too, because
Mike Varney is heavily involved in everything. Yeah. Everything. Mike is part of the Steeler family, and he produced the lead guitar tracks for Keelworld for the Steeler track. He and Mitch Perry went into the studio, and I was in the lobby just letting them do what they do. And they created some magical guitar tracks. You know, Mitch Perry replaced Yngwie Malmsteen and Steeler in '83. So
Right.
he's been a part of the Steeler family for over 40 years. And I'm just so glad that we were able to reconnect and not reestablish it, because that bond was never broken, but the musical bond was like not a day had passed. It was just like 1983 all over again.
Right. Yeah, that's awesome. Well, I know, Mitch is a good friend of mine, and I know he absolutely loves the track as well. So he feels just as strong and excited about it as we do.
I'm happy about that.
Yeah, he absolutely does. But that's awesome. I'm excited about that story. I can't wait for 2025 now. So maybe
You
we
gotta always have something to look forward to, man. There's always something. There's another mountain to climb just beyond the horizon.
maybe we can get the band on a stage in 2025 to go along with that. That would be pretty cool.
That would be, we have done a couple of reunions at Keel Fest
Right.
in 2019 in Columbus, Ohio, and then we did one last year in Nashville. And you never know, man. Never say never, and keep the doors open.
Yeah, that would go good with the debut of the documentary.
Yeah, it certainly would. So we've got a lot of dreams still to come true.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's so admirable the way that you just keep going. I mean, you seem like, a lot of guys when they get to be a little bit older, as we are, might slow down a little, but you're doing the other way. You got like pedal to the metal. You're constantly moving.
It seems that way, Ralph. I think the closer I get to the finish line, the harder I push, the faster I run, the harder I work, the more the pedal goes down to the floorboard and beyond.
Right.
Because the clock is ticking, man. Father Time's undefeated. I won't be able to do this at a level that I'm proud of forever. Nobody does. We all have our time limits. I take a lot of inspiration from my heroes, Sammy Hagar, Rob Halford, Mark Storace, Glenn Hughes. I mean, the list goes on of guys in their 70s that are still belting it out and delivering the goods vocally and from a performance standpoint. So I do want to quit while I'm ahead. I don't have a timeline in mind. I always envision myself as being the cowboy who wins the barroom brawl and rides off into the sunset with the pretty girl. But we can't always script our futures or our lives. No, tomorrow is not given to any of us.
Sure.
We're all on a one-day contract. And that brings us to the closing song on Keelworld, The Last Bottle on Earth, which is an acoustic ballad, which is, to me, one of the best songs I've ever written. And that song is about just that, enjoying every step, every song, every kiss, every mile along the journey, because it might be your last. And that's what that song's about, and that's how I live my life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that song, you had released that as a single earlier, and I was so glad that you included it on this album, because that is just a gorgeous song. That song, and what was the other one, I think, since the last time we talked, Hard on the Outside and Hard on the Inside. I thought that was just a terrific, it's a little different style, but just a terrific song too. And
what style is it, Ralph? What do you think?
A little harder than
it's to me that's just good commercial hard rock. I mean, if you want to talk about style, but the message is what's important.
Yes.
I knew when I was writing this album that I had songs about. We got our drinking song, Weekend with My Friends, it's a party song about drinking all weekend long. You got the stories that we tell, like 5 O'Clock Shadows, where you take the audience on a journey and tell them a story. And I felt it was important to have a song that really had a message akin to The Right to Rock or Wild Forever, or some of the anthems that I've created in my career that really say something that's important. Mm-hmm. And that message has remained the same since The Right to Rock to Hard on the Outside. We're all in this together. We are all friends, neighbors, family on this planet. And whether you're left or right, or none of that really matters at the end of the day, we're all in this together. We're all hard on the outside, but we've all got a heart on the inside.
Right. Yep. Yeah. No, it's a terrific song. Moving Target you talked about, which, yes, I agree with you. It picks right up where Keel left off, back in the day. It's right up there with anything you guys did before. 5 O'Clock Shadows is another new one that's on this record from the Ron Keel Band. What can you tell us about that song? Got any thoughts on that one?
Well, the Ron Keel Band, which has been my vehicle now, what is it? Is as we record this, and I just noticed, I need to celebrate this. This is October 10th. For those watching or listening later on, today is October 10th. This is the 10th anniversary of the Ron Keel Band. 10 years ago tonight, we did our first show in Columbus, Ohio. And my band can do anything. I mean, these guys have been with me through thick and thin the last 10 years, and they can play the Keel and the Steeler and the Black Sabbath, and we do in the course of our shows. So what is a Ron Keel Band song is much more difficult to define. You know a Keel song when you hear it. You know that Give Me Guitars or Give Me Death. I mean, that's got to be a Steeler song. But in reality, they could have been Ron Keel Band songs. The only reason that this is Keelworld is because I've got a great group or groups of guys in Keel and in Steeler and in Iron Horse and Emerald Sabbath, but all joined together to make this album what it is today. A lot of moving parts, so many musicians in all these different bands, producers, engineers, studios in the US and the UK, who all really supported my vision and made this thing happen. So the Ron Keel Band songs are just the ones that we ended up recording first for the record. Then we added the Keel and the Steeler and the Iron Horse. And you realize, well, we've got a salad, we've got a steak, we got spaghetti, we should have some cake too. So you start piling on, you start ordering more stuff off the menu, and we'll never get full because this album satisfies all of those appetites.
Right. Yeah, it certainly does. But happy anniversary for Ron Keel, man.
Thank you, man. I just noticed that. I realized I knew it was coming up, October 10th. And that's a special day for us. 10 years ago today, the first Ron Keel Band show. Of course, the band had a different name for a couple of years when we were the Badlands House Band here in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. The same guys, same men, same mission.
Yeah. Well, that's another blessing you have, that all these musicians throughout all these years that you all still talk to one another. That's quite a blessing that you've maintained.
It really is, Ralph. It really is, man. You got to be friends first, man. I think that's an important aspect of. It's not a job. You've got your job. You do your job, and you've got a job to do. And I do lead the team with an iron fist, and I am a hard driving coach, so to speak, of the team. But without my teammates, I'd be alone at last. But literally, I'm very proud of the fact that the guys in Keel, that's a brotherhood, man. That's a family. Mark Ferrari, Brian J., Dwayne Miller, those guys, 40 years later, are still, we talk to each other almost every day. The guys in Steeler, that's another family. And Iron Horse as well, which is a very special project for me. And I was really proud to include a new Iron Horse song, Guitar in the Grave, on Keelworld.
Which I love. Can you tell us a little bit more about Iron Horse? Because I don't know a lot about that.
Iron Horse was the bridge between the country years in the 90s and the metal cowboy, who I am now. Iron Horse for 7 years, from 2000 to 2006, 2007. We did thousands of shows across the country, released 2 great albums in the 2000s, 2001 and 2004. And we made so many friends and fans. That band and that fan base was another separate family. A lot of those people didn't know about Keel. These were younger people that were, or older people as well, that were enjoying our shows and buying the records and enjoying the music, that really didn't know much about my history. And I was cool with that. I mean, you've got to always be reinventing yourself and making new friends and new fans. So that project, it's not a project, it's a band. It's a brotherhood, just like Keel or Ron Keel Band. And we spent 7 years together, 2 great album releases, and Keelworld would not be complete without a brand new Iron Horse song from those same guys, the same guys that across this country hundreds of times during that 6-7 year span, and made a lot of my fans. They're Iron Horse fans first. They'll deal with Keel. Keel's all right, Steeler, yeah, but they love Iron Horse,
And
and
that's
so
when
do
they
I.
discovered
So
you,
do
so
I.
that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean it is all these separate families. So when we have a big family reunion on an album like this, we invite everybody to the party.
Right, right. Yep. All right. Well, let's talk then about the Emerald Sabbath, because that I thought was originally that name, Emerald Sabbath, was something with Sabbath music mixed with an orchestra, maybe, or something. I thought, but maybe this is something different. So I was looking forward to talking to you to learn more about what is, or what is and what was Emerald Sabbath.
Emerald Sabbath was a tribute project created by executive producer Mike Sullivan, who is the ultimate Sabbath fan on the planet. Lives in the UK, and contacted me a few years ago to sing as an ex-Sabbath member. He assembled all these ex-Sabbath guys, or members of the Sabbath family or the Ozzy family tree, and kind of the Sabbath family, to re-record some of the Black Sabbath classics, some with an orchestra and some with additional instrumentation. And he invited me to sing Trashed, a song off the Born Again album
Ian
that was
Gillan,
originally sung by Ian Gillan, of course. So we did Trashed. It was a great session, a very difficult song. And I was really proud of the results. And he said, well, why don't you give us a couple more? So he assigned me the task of singing Hole in the Sky, an Ozzy track, a classic Sabbath tune from the Ozzy era, and Die Young, a Dio track. So on that original Emerald Sabbath album, I got to cover Ozzy, Ian Gillan, and Ronnie James Dio with ex-members of Sabbath and Ozzy, like Rudy Sarzo on bass, Vinny Appice on drums, Bobby Rondinelli on drums.
wow.
And it was an amazing session, and really proud of the vocals and proud of the results. So he started talking about doing a volume 2, a sequel, so to speak, of that Emerald Sabbath project, and asked me to sing Children of the Grave with Bobby Rondinelli on drums and don't screw up his name. Come on.
Hey, yeah, maybe I have it here
Oh,
somewhere.
come on. Oh,
in my
no. I'm
information.
drawing a blank here. I should know better.
Let's see.
It's Neil Murray, of course. Neil Murray.
Oh, okay, you got it
I got
before
my
I
cheat sheet
find it.
here, of course. So Bobby Rondinelli on drums, Neil Murray on bass. Neil played in Sabbath and Whitesnake. Neil and Bobby had both toured with Sabbath together, but had never recorded a Sabbath track. So, and Mike had paid me really well for that first session. I mean, the money was good. I got paid really nicely for those 3 songs. And then he asked if I would sing Children of the Grave. And I said, man, I'll do it for free if you'll let me put the track on my Keelworld album. And Mike was gracious enough to do that. Bobby Rondinelli and Neil Murray were gracious enough to donate their sessions to my album. So you've got 3 ex-members of Sabbath on that track, me, Bobby, and Neil. And also Dave Cawthorn from the Ron Keel Band on the lead guitar solo, and Mike Dresch, my co-producer, also playing guitar on that. And Mike Dresch is the guy who you had mentioned at the top of the interview, how great the record sounds.
Yes.
He is the reason it sounds so good. This guy is brilliant, absolutely the best in the business. And he knew that I had a mission when we set out to do this, that I wanted it to be cohesive. I didn't want a mishmash of sounds and songs. I wanted it to sound like it was one continuous journey. And Mike was able to achieve that musically, even though we have different drummers, different drum kits, different guitar players, different studios. He made it sound like an album where everything fits and sounds like it belongs together.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And just the mix is just so nice, because I love it when everything's crystal clear. Like you hear every instrument and it's got its place. You don't always get that. And this has, and then, the continuity was another thing I was going to comment on.
Thank you.
It does sound like one record.
It's one album. Yeah, you've got all these different elements, but it's it's like a movie. You've got your car chase, you got your sex scene, you got your fight scene, you got all the ups and downs, all the drama that goes into it. But when you put it all together, it makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's an interest. So that Emerald Sabbath, then that first one, that's out there somewhere, so people can get that.
Yes, it's been out for several years now.
Okay, because that's why I guess my memory wasn't too bad, because I thought I remembered something like that, and now you confirmed that is what it is. I've got to find that, because I don't think I looked into it a whole lot when I first heard about it.
Oh, it's a great record. You can find it on Spotify and all the other platforms and outlets.
Got to check it out, because I love this Embryo Children of the Grave combo on Keelworld. It's awesome.
Thank you. Well, we had to show that side of my personality, and I was really, really. I'm really proud that we could include that. I wanted to give the metal fans something to cheer about. Also, that's the only cover song on the record. It's the only song on the album that's not brand new. Obviously, to go back and pay tribute to Sabbath in that way with those guys and with this recording. And the cool thing about that song, one of the many cool things about that song, is that the subject matter is still relevant to this day, well over 40, 50 years after it came out, about living in the shadow of atomic fear. I mean, that's what the song is about. If we don't fight for peace, we're all going to get nuked. I mean, that's the message behind the lyric. So it still rings as true today as it did back then.
Yeah, completely. Well, that is very cool. Well, I think you've done something so special here. I'm glad that you got it out there for the rest of us to hear. So thank you for sharing, as you've been doing with your musical gifts. I promised we wouldn't stay too long so that you can rest these pipes, because you got a live show coming soon, I take it.
Oh, that's next week. I'll rehearse again tomorrow. I'll get a good night's sleep, watch some football tonight, and celebrate the 10th anniversary of Ron Keel Band. And I don't have much on my to-do list. I will, I'm just enjoying the discussion, and I appreciate the opportunity. So the pipes are going to be fine. The more I work them, the better they sound.
There you go. All right, well, then let me ask you, as the founder here of RFK Media, and some of the releases you've done, Crashing Wayward, I know was successful for you with that album. But you've introduced me now, because of this, to those guys, which I love, but also the band Deirdre, Cold Sweat. Well, Cold Sweat I knew, but the new recording that you released is really cool. But the Fifth is what I meant to say, as far as a new introduction for me. So you've released some material from those acts. Do we have any albums in the pipeline, or any new singles from any of those coming along? I know you just had one for Crashing Wayward. I guess I'm thinking more of Deirdre and the Fifth.
Well, the Fifth has just finished recording their debut RFK Media album, and we're going to release that early in 2025. So the Fifth, the new album from the Fifth, a long time coming. And the record sounds amazing. We're really proud of the results. It was worth waiting for. And we've also signed the Fifth vocalist, Roy Cathy, who also sings with Cold Sweat. We've just signed him to a solo deal, where Roy will be releasing a solo album for us on RFK Media next year. We are releasing the vinyl edition of Cold Sweat with a brand new song. The vinyl edition of the Cold Sweat Unburied Alive album will feature a brand new, unheard, literally, we just finished recording it. So this is brand new music from Mark Ferrari, Chris McLaren, Anthony White, Eric Gamons, and Roy Cathy. The Cold Sweat, a bonus track, which will appear on the vinyl edition coming next year, because they've got a big show on the Monsters of Rock cruise. And we want to release this vinyl edition of Cold Sweat Unburied Alive to celebrate all they've accomplished this year with M3 and Monsters on the Mountain, and then their big appearance next year on the Monsters of Rock cruise.
Yeah, awesome.
And maybe some more music from Ron Keel in the future. You never know.
Oh yeah, I can't imagine that there'd be more. No.
I have a hard time negotiating business deals with that guy, man. He just wants to sing and play and have a good time. But we do have a lot of new music in the pipeline, and I want to make sure that we include Blonde Viper, Represent, a track that you played on your show last week, and we appreciate the support for that. This is an epic anthem. This is metal in every way, and it
And that Ron
showcases.
Keel guy's singing on that too.
Yeah, the Ron Keel guy got his voice on there. That was how it started, man. These are all friends of mine that we've worked together and become friends through the years. And they asked me to do a guest spot and sing some lines on the track. And once I did it, I heard it, I sang it. I said, "Well, what are you going to do with this? I mean, why don't you let RFK Media release this, and we hopefully we can help draw attention to the song and the musicians and singers that are involved, because these are all Hall of Fame heroes here in the Midwest that maybe never got their shot, or maybe the world hasn't heard of them but should." So it's an all-star. There's, I think, 16 lead guitar players just throwing down some amazing solos, a bunch of different vocalists, me included, and all the proceeds from this song go to Tunnel for Towers, the Tunnel for Towers Foundation, which helps our first responders and make sure that we never forget 9/11. So that was a cause that we can certainly get on board with. And the song, all the money from the downloads goes straight to that foundation, and all of the credit goes to the amazing musicians, singers, and engineers and recording producers that made that song come to life. Mike Dresch, the guy who produced Keelworld with me, is also the producer engineer of Represent. That's why it sounds so damn good. So hopefully everybody will check that out. You can find all these links at rfkmedia.com.
Yes. Yeah. I think we're going to have Terry on soon, I think, to talk more about Blonde Viper.
Oh, great, man. She's a hoot. Terry Lorenz. She is an interesting interview, my friend. Buckle up.
I will do that. So we played the short version because I was waiting till I found out more, got a chance to talk with you, and kind of held back on the long version till we have a chance to talk about it.
Cool.
Because there's a lot to keep track of. I mean, I listened to it and I'm like, my goodness, did I remember whose guitar solo that is? As I'm learning about these folks.
You look at it and it goes 9 minutes long, you think, and then you listen to it, and before you know it, it's over. It
Right.
really does cruise on by at a great clip. And those guitar solos blend and complement each other as they raise the key up a notch each time. And so it's not just one long, boring guitar solo. It's very orchestrated and extremely musical. So I find that, because I listen to it all the time as well. It's just part of my job. And plus, I really love it. And I'm amazed every time I hear it, just, wow, it's over already. Thought it was 9 minutes long. Let's play it again.
Yep. And all you guys, I will be playing the long version soon. So
Cool. Thanks.
But yeah, that was really cool. And I like the sentiment, what you're doing with the proceeds as well. That's really cool. And I was, kind of shocked when I heard it and read about it. I was like, wow, this is really cool. I'm like, once again, you're making me dizzy because you are so busy.
Yeah, that rhymes. I can make a song out of that, Ralph. But man, I love what I do, and I try and keep up as best I can. I always bite off more than I can chew, but life is short. Make it sweet, man. So I'm always ready to rock and roll and tell stories, entertain people, play music, get some fists in the air, and hit the road and play with my band. And we got our next show, our final show of the year, coming up next week in Nashville. That is Fish Fest 5. This is a great cause as well. This show benefits the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention.
Okay.
And it's a cause that's very near and dear to the hearts of the promoters, Larry and Mary Fish Productions in Nashville. It's the 5th annual festival event. There's a lot of great rock and metal bands on the bill with us. And I'm excited for Ron Keel Band to go back and be their headliner this year on October 19th in Nashville, Tennessee, at a beautiful venue, the East Side Bowl. So we're going to put a big exclamation point on the 2024 touring season. It's been a great year. I've had so many memories, especially taking my band back to my hometowns. Hollywood. I mean, we went back to the whiskey and we crushed it. Packed house, and my band was on fire. We played for 2 hours and 45 minutes. It was amazing. Las Vegas. I mean, back to my old stomping grounds for the first Las Vegas show in 10 years. And it was amazing. The band was on fire. The crowd was great. Phoenix, Arizona, where I grew up. We went back to Phoenix. The first time I've been able to take Ron Keel Band to some of these places. So to end up in Nashville, after South America too, we did South America, Colombia, and Brazil. My first time in Latin America, South America, and those shows were sold out. And the fans down there were so gracious and loud and enthusiastic. So it's been a good year, man. I'm very thankful for the memories and the opportunities.
Awesome. Awesome. And in addition to all that, guys, running this RFK media, making the music, doing the touring, you're still doing your radio show too.
KRFK Radio. RFK Media has our own radio station, our own audio streaming platform, 24/7, krfkradio.com. The biggest names in the business: Eddie Trunk, Dee Snider, Joe Elliott from Def Leppard, Ron Keel, Charlie Kendall's Metal Shop, brand new shows every week on KRFK Radio. And that's my baby too. And I'm just trying to keep it all under control, man. But we're having a good time.
And he runs a Patreon that he pays a lot of attention to as well.
I do, man. Patreon.com/Ron Keel. That is my inner circle. That's my family online. It's not a fan club, it's a family. Very much like the KISS Army, only it's the Keel Army. And these people have been so good to me. We've been doing that for 6 years now on Patreon, and they get everything. They get all they get to see the real me. It's kind of like having dinner with 700 of your best friends, and they're all sitting around the table, and it's grown out of control, but I'll try and continue to give those people the best of what I got.
Well, you inspire me, man, because this guy, from sunrise till way past sunset, he's doing something music related.
That's right. That's right. And I appreciate you saying that. I do love what I do, and I've been blessed to live a life that has enabled me to do that, to play music, to do what I love. I'm a full-timer. This is all about music. It's all about business, but it all starts with the music, the stories, the radio show, the new comic book. We've got, got to show you.
Oh, that's right. We didn't talk about that. I wanted some more information. I know you got it 12 pages or something. So yeah, tell us about that.
Well, there's the Keelworld comic book, and this is like a really nice, beautiful piece of work done by metal nerds, kings of the strip, and they're taking care of the story and the artwork and all that. My wife, Renee, who did the artwork for all of our album releases, did the cover, which is really cool. I'll send you a sneak peek of the cover so you can maybe share that with folks if you like.
Sure.
But yeah, it's a comic book, post-apocalyptic, the metal cowboy riding his motorcycle through the apocalyptic wasteland, revisiting those hometowns, New York, Vegas, Nashville, Hollywood. And I don't want to give too much away of the story, but they've done a great job.
A little bit autobiographical, a little bit fantasy.
Well, we're taking everybody back to, we show, just like Keelworld shows all those aspects of my character, my personality, and the territory that I've explored. The comic book does the same thing. We take you back to Hollywood after the apocalypse, and we relive some of those memories from back in the day. And I'm driving my motorcycle through New York, and it's, it is, these people, I mean, I didn't write the story. They turned me into some comic book hero, and I'm going, yeah, that's cool, because I'm a huge comic book fan myself. I grew up reading Batman and Tarzan and the Spider-Man and all that.
Superman,
so finally have a Ron Keel comic book it's a dream come true. And I just hope the fans will enjoy it. And I think even if you don't know who I am, just like the movie, I think even if you're not a fan, if a comic book fan will pick this up and go, man, this is cool. The art's great. The story's cool. It stands on its own. You don't have to be a fan of mine to enjoy the comic book or the movie or the new album, Keelworld. If you're not a fan yet, you will be.
Love it. Well, I think that's a good way to end this. But I am going to append a song when I edit this together. Obviously, this is all live. You know me, I like just having these conversations.
Me too, man. Right
leaving
on.
Everything in. But I will edit in a song here. So you tell me, I think there's a couple songs I haven't played yet on the music show, but I don't care even if it's one that I've played already. What do you think? What should we share off Keelworld at the end?
Well, there's no bad songs on this record, but I think the song that really captures my identity the best, who I am, what I'm all about, is the opening song, Hollywood. That's why it's a Ron Keel solo track. That's why it's the first song on the album. It's a little bit Hollywood, a little bit South Dakota, and we kind of meet in the middle with this opening track. So I'd appreciate it if you'd share that one with your fans, your audience, your listeners, and hopefully they'll enjoy it as much as I do.
You got it. All right, Ron. Well, before we wrap up, is there anything we missed? Anything else we should know before we part ways here?
Well, no, I think that's as long as we plug the website, ronkeel.com and rfkmedia.com. And hopefully I'll see you in Nashville for Rockin' Pod.
Yeah, I saw that email you sent me. I was wondering if that's what you were referring to.
We can't tell anyone.
We'll talk. We'll talk.
I might come to Nashville in April to visit with you. But no matter if it's then or when, Ruff, I look forward to the next handshake, the next hug, and the next conversation, man. I appreciate you. Keep up the good work, buddy.
Sounds good. Thank you, Ron. And as always, a pleasure having you here. And everybody, yes, like Ron said, and I know I've said this on the weekly music shows too, when I play his music, check out rfkmedia.com. This guy's got so much great music to share, and it's just a pleasure having you here, buddy. So everybody stick around now and rock out with us from Keelworld. As Ron pointed out, the lead-off track. This is Ron Keel with Hollywood.
Girl, you got those starry eyes, looking all Los Angelized, way uptown for a girl from South Dakota. You might think I'm from the hills, but I got plans and I got skills, and I'll do things nobody will to have you. Let the moonlight spotlight shine on down. Let me take you out of this nowhere town. I'll be your Hollywood, make you a superstar. Don't move, you're looking good, stay right there where you are. Gonna make you feel like your name's in lights, bigger than the letters on the Tinseltown sign. I'll be your Hollywood, yes I could. I'll be your Hollywood. We don't need no Sunset Strip, no California power trip. This town in me's got what it takes to make you feel like you're the next big thing. You're my Mae West, I'm your John Wayne. Let me put you underneath my wing and take you where it all comes down to one slow kiss on a small town night in a scene like this. I'll be your Hollywood, make you a superstar. Don't move, you're looking good, stay right there where you are. Gonna make you feel like your name's in lights, bigger than the letters on that Tinseltown sign. I'll be your Hollywood, yes I could. I'll be your Hollywood. I'll be your Hollywood, make you a superstar. Don't move, you're looking good, stay right there where you are. Gonna make you feel like your name's in lights, bigger than the letters on that Tinseltown sign.